Hello and welcome. It is the end of the 28th day of July 2019. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel, and let's do multiple time frames on Bitcoin, 11 of them. The 3 month, the monthly, the weekly, the triple day, the daily, the 1/3 day, the 3 hour, the single hour, the quarter hour, the 4 minute, and the 1 minute time frame. Try to make sense of some of these moves, bunch of failed moves, fast moves. Oh, short term, it's going to be really fun. And that's the only reason I'm doing this. I wasn't planning on doing a Bitcoin technical analysis. But before we get to the 15, we got to start from the longest to the shortest. And amongst the month, and then all bets trades of the like, obviously within each own risk and their own reward. Let's get the disclaimer out of the way. And I see this price action leaving the 18th, so it's had a good correctionary phase. We don't have 18 access before then, but we can see it left the correctionary phase back in 2015 here as well. Showed some strength for about really 3 periods, up until the breakout here of October 2016 time frame. And then pausing it with upward momentum at the same time on this one, and then 3 great green candles up. One good red candle down, a couple sides, a good red down and inside on pause into the band, and then this upward move. And I like so far how this is working out. So this is the quarter for this is just the start of a quarter now. So we're 1/3 of the way through. The monthly, the month's almost over. 29, 30, 31, 3 days, and plus, well, less than 3 days technically. But within the monthly chart, the gains that it's been having from this point has been fantastic, because on a bearish level, we're supposed to resist where we came from, which was right in here. This was support. And back when you were back in this chart, especially those following, I was talking about, okay, how big the 6,000 support was. And if it was going to break, we'd probably go to 3,000. Well, it was close. A little bit higher, but throwing that aside. Okay, well, the exact level didn't resist. How about the congestion, the last level of congestion, which was upwards into the high 7,000s? Well, that didn't resist. How about the first congestion area? It really didn't resist there either. Where did it resist? It resisted near the previous high. And I tried to sound like Seinfeld at that last little bit. I don't want to continue doing that. I probably did a bad attempt at that. With that being said, it's a very bullish statement that has been coming through. So a down month might not even be that. It's kind of a pause right now. Just pausing in there. The down move is 10.7%, but it's remaining and holding above it. And that's why if we see any forward momentum and these shorter term time frames showing bullish levels, we realize this has got full potential for decent size gains. On the weekly chart, it's enduring its correctionary phase amongst that rally, that down candle we're seeing, of course, on the monthly, which has have been a bunch of these lower lows. Price action moving down to this 18. When I say lower lows, I mean this one's lower than this is lower than this. And we're just starting a new week right now, so we'll see how this goes. But to make a higher high, or the last high was in at 10,687. So it's got a decent ways to go. It's got to have a week of greater than 10%, given that it lost 10% last week. So basically a 10% move back up. A little better than that. On the triple day term time frame, we've had the price action come the bottom end of this correctionary phase, and this rally that broke out at the start of April got past this majorly established resistance level at the 41, and has been just a great move from point low to point high. Now it's had a very extended correctionary phase as it first entered such at the end of June with a failed but still a good rally attempt. And now we're on period number 5 of just hanging in there since this third red candle down, hanging in there within the 18 lows. The last period was a major pause, low volatile period. This one, let's see if we can. This one started July the 27th, so we're 1/3 of the way. We're entering day number 2 amongst this. So this Definitely doesn't have anything bullish in it by any means, other than where we came from, of course. That's the within the daily chart. Let's stick a line in here, and I'll put the Fibonacci lines in a second. But for now, this has been major support. It's a very noticeable descending triangle, as we can. I'm not going to draw a straight line, but obviously this is a noticeable downtrend with multiple layers of support. Another way of looking at this is it's at a critical moment within it, because this line doesn't change in price, but this does. So there's not much room left towards this resistance level, and it seems due to have a decent break one side or another. As it goes, I'm going to be looking for resistance next towards the 18 average of highs in this, and it appears above it in this previous congestion area about 10.5, if any quick move is going to happen. But there really isn't much evidence here that it's going to. Now, as we shorten it out, there will be evidence that there is going to be such. When you look at it, this day needs to be explained a little bit, but we did see price action match up within here. And now it's back to in here. So what's the story here? And it's pretty cool, actually. But we still got to go to the 8-hour and 3-hour to find more evidence of it. So we can see it was this low in here. So a decent sized rally, but you can still, it's not like it's that much of a gain. It's still to the 18 average of lows. Now when looking at such with the Fibonacci lines in here, 6,341 is the next level of support if this level does break down. The way support, halfway there support, or where support would be if there's a big failed breakdown, would be towards this 83. And a failed breakdown is when you break a key level, have a noticeable break, and then you usually would quickly rebound to where you came from. Oh, we're going to see that very soon. Let's change this up and put the Tether exchange in and the Binance, because as we go to short-term analysis, really that's the best, especially when we look at this on like the 4-minute, 1-minute, and all of the very shorter term time frames in here. So let's go to the 8-hour. And amongst this, we can see that it hasn't really had any bullish action since when? It had a failed breakout attempt in here, and there was a bullish action from point low to point high. So the failed attempt, which got above here, really had a modest failed breakdown. It did have a decent decline, 13,092. And since this bottom, an attempt to get things going, got established this level of resistance barely above the 18 highs, had a small attempt to break above it, but unable to get going there. This correctionary phase in here obviously failed, which first resisted amongst the 18 lows and got up to this high, and then this big red candle down. And now we look at the previous candle, and what's the deal with that? What's up with this here? Price action had this low, did a little bit of this grinding, and what's up with this? This low does match back here, but we'll see. You need to shorten it to see it more clearly. What does the 3-hour tell us about that? Oh, it was one of those. So this could have, I mean, when you look at this, the first thing that I think of, and that I thought of, was, okay, it was one of those quick little sells that happened in like a couple of minutes. Spoiler, it's not. Okay, well, within it, the trend since here has been an interesting sideways action. And this hasn't spoiled it, but this almost looks tempted, and I don't got the greatest of lines, like it's ready to break this possible resistance line. It's got great volatility compared to all these candles that precede it. And what's the deal with this one that was the individual one that did? Well, the 1-hour, does that show us anything? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it looks totally like One of those ones where someone would just, I mean, it's already broken past this resistance. This is pretty strong right now, but this level of resistance was sort of upgraded because it was originally established in here with the 1700 to the 1900 time frame. Of course, from this decline in here, it's been going sideways. Finally, it's made that statement that it's attempted to break it out by getting above it. But what's the deal with this period here? Well, let's take a look at the 15. Ooh, righty then. What a difference! What a difference! Well, something interesting is going on when I see this. Oftentimes, from a failed move in one direction, can result in a fast move in the opposite one. It's already had a fast move. This is meh for a fast move because it's already had a meh breakout above here. But I mean, this is a serious break in here. When we see how it reacted after, well, we had the major candle bars down, and what a huge 15-minute time slot here at the 1845. And this level of resistance, of course, is where it came right up to. But how did it react for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, close to a dozen periods? And it's just going up nicely right now as we start a new 15 session. Well, it sort of had an ascending triangle in the short term, which we'll see better when we go to the 4. And I haven't looked at the 4, actually. I've looked at everything to the 15. But we see this, no surprise in how it's breaking out after what it does here, because we already seen how it had 3 candles down, this pause, and then, I mean, this over just this 30 seconds, I mean, this is just going up nice. It's up just over the last 37 seconds, it's up 0.5%. And now it's up exactly that, 0.53. Just a beautiful breakout setup as we're looking at this. I mean, this has the potential to be 10,000 in the next 7 minutes. A lot higher of a percentage than it normally would be because of the market conditions and where we stand right now. We're having that breakout. Okay. 4-minute chart. There we can see more towards that move. We can see it originally had this interesting breakdown here at the 1608. A lot of sideways move, but it really didn't start to get breaking down until here 1748 with a good acceleration here at this candle front here. And then this one here, just a huge down period. 2.18%. But a little bit of a rally sideways action, and over this the buyers just come in and a big rally and get a lot of time to see this. Like, hey, wait a second here. Is this one of those failed move fast moves, but to have a move higher? Well, the answer is yes. We're seeing it go right now, 97.25. On the 1-minute term time frame, there's our move. This is what it looked like earlier on the one. The buyers came in here, 92.48, 95.82, just that fast in under 3 minutes. All of this sideways consolidation. You see, oh, nice little uptrend in here, the 18 highs, and then it just keeps going higher and higher and higher. Finally, maybe as we see this short term, it's going to come down to the 18. It's going to, at some point, either via price or that of time. But now as we switch back to the 3, waiting for the next 18 to load, there it goes. A lot of these charts that I just recently shown have changed. I mean, not like the monthly or the weekly or even the daily too much anyway. But from everything that we've seen, the possibility of going to a place like the 18 highs now becomes a real possibility. And to finish this off, the 18 average of highs is in at 10,301. But it would be higher than that for it to get there today. Why is that? Well, what this does is it's a front-weighted average. And I've got 18 periods. So what it does for the current one, it takes the highest price, which right now on the top of the screen says 97.29. So it multiplies that number by 18. It multiplies the previous one, which was 95.95 almost, by 17, this high by 16, by 15 here, and so on and so forth to the 18th period. And then it takes the total of those numbers and it divides it by the sum of 1 through 18, which I think is 171. And that's what gets its number. But what's going to happen is the last number, instead of it being 9729 multiply 18, when it gets to 10.3, would be that number multiply 18. So you'd be looking at, well, like 10,310 or maybe something a little lower. I don't know. In that area, but definitely higher than that just for that sure mathematical part. But it does seem that because of the action of what happened here, that we are going to have a good chance of seeing that. Now, with that being said, we have had a lot of swingy back and forth, up and down, choppy action. So, as I said a long, long time ago, and it's pretty much the same now until it breaks that sideways move. You're gonna just get, that's what choppy neutrality is. And originally that support came in where we stand now at 9,600 change to match this low. It got upgraded or changed, downgraded, however you want to look at it. Literally speaking, I guess you could say downgraded to this level here. But the resistance is still in this range of like the high 12,000s to the high 13,000s. So until it can break out of that, it's still in a range. So any move to the 18 highs is still in the somewhat lower part of this. And even any breakouts that occur in the 11s or 12,000s, well, you still got to be, you have to still be cognizant about the fact that this thing could easily just stay within this range and we could have choppy action. There's nothing, it's not like I haven't seen a market come up, maybe hit this high and then come back down again. And do this until it's ready to break it to one side or another, but it's in this range. And like I stated before, breaking down from here, the most realistic price objective on the long term is a large decline. That's into the 6,000s or so area, which meets up with so many levels, which is Fibonacci and the monthly term and all, or the weekly, whatever, monthly 18 average spot. So the long term support on a failure of holding here is in the 6,000s. The long-term resistance from this point in here, I'd see a little, the next Fibonacci number above 12.9 or 13,000 is a better way of putting it, is a hair above 15,000, but that's not much of a move. And when we're talking long-term analysis, it really gets to previous high, which is 20,000. So on a break of 13, 20, and then breaking out above 20, there will be levels on the way there. But my two next levels, I don't know if I've got anything written above, I don't. I'm looking at two levels is like 60,000, then about a third of a million. Those are the next two long-term levels that I've previously, I've calculated. I'm just trying to remember in my head from what the variable areas were. So yeah, in that area of about 60,000 on the break of 20. But on the way to 60, of course, you're going to have several different layers that can come in. Maybe you find a resistance spot at 38 or 40, pulls back to 20 and all that stuff. But this is the crypto space. This is heavy volatile action. When it comes down to it, when it's all said and done, the price to me can only go really one way, and that's far. So we're at 10,000. 10x to me is almost like guaranteed. Whether it goes both ways on 10x or up first or up only, maybe we never ever go to 1,000, which would be 10x down, 1,000 down. But if Bitcoin is like going to be a failure, as the critics would state, and it's the attempt for it will be ultimately a failure, then it would technically have to go to nothing, really. And thus, 1,000 would have to go lower than that. So I'm just going to say 1,000 anyway. So it would have to go out before going to nothing. It would have to break 1,000, and that's about a 10x move down. And at the same point, if the critics who talk about Bitcoin being a Ponzi scheme, tulip bubble in the making, at least for the near term making, this is why I'm going to say the and on the 10x move, is that we break this resistance of 20, 100,000 does seem likely that it would move up towards there. I don't see a situation where Bitcoin breaks 20,000, never gets to 100,000, and then continuously does well. That to me makes no sense whatsoever. And then when I say 10x on the end, the tulip mania people that say, oh, Bitcoin's not going to make it, well, they might be right, but before they become right, this thing could go up to 100, 200, 300,000, and then go to nothing. And then it would actually technically work 10x on both sides because price action from the future from this point forward would then literally see 100,000 and then north of that, and then of course south of 1,000. And that's why when I talk about for like 5, 10 years from now, what's the as far as the safest investment really for what it comes down to? To me, Bitcoin and any cryptocurrency is not that. You got the high risk and the high reward. And silver and gold to me is the one where you know in 10 years you got the physical metal that whatever money happens to be, however money is transmitted in that time frame, that having that physical metal you're going to be fine. When you compare that to then having fiat currency for 10 years or Bitcoin, Litecoin, any of them for 10 years. I could put Bitcoin in a vault. So say today I was able to put $10,000 in a vault. So what would that get me? I don't know, 500 ounces of silver, a little more than that maybe. And 10,000 here's one Bitcoin. 10 years from now, Bitcoin could be like a million, over a million. And it could not even be traded. It could be like literally worthless. See, silver is not going to be worthless, but Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have something going for it right now. And that is, right now, the charts say long term because of this failed move that people want to get in. And if they didn't, we would have been seeing resistance in this area, I think. It's a good form of money, and it's also a good form to accumulate gold and silver. For by selling portions and accumulating precious metals when these go higher in value, well, that to me becomes I think that's very solid investing along the way. And that's why I don't live in a world where I'm forced to just, okay, this is what I want in 5 and 10 years, and I just got to hold my breath and see what happens. For if there's ever a time when I see that, okay, it's time to get out of cryptos, then I'd have to make an aggressive bet to just get out of 70, 80, 90% of the cryptos in which that I own. Of course, that time is not here right now. I think they're going to have tremendous gains moving forward, as will gold and silver. And in the early run, hyperinflationary type world, I totally expect that the hyperinflation you'll see it here in Bitcoin and other cryptos first. And then later on, silver market after that, and the real market. And we are seeing, of course, a lot of different, especially with a lot of different food items and inflation and so many other different ones. A lot of the luxury, non-necessity, like whatever type items might become very cheap moving forward. But in cryptos, especially those items actually, but in cryptos, if there becomes inflation levels where we have like 100% year over year, by that time, where would Bitcoin be? And how is your inflation or deflation life like? You have, say, product A today, which sells for, say, 100 units or $100, and then maybe 2 years, it's triple that, 300. Yet your portfolio is hundreds of times higher. So now you're talking like maybe like pennies on the dollar, a penny or even less than 1 penny on the dollar. or like 99% of a decline, which in terms, it's like, let's say something you wanted to buy for, let's say, oh, okay, this home for like $1.5 million. If it's for you, it's like, okay, it's like buying it for like 15, 20, 30,000 maybe. Of course, you'd have to have a serious investment and a serious portfolio to be able to buy a $1.5 million home, which would basically be worth like 3 or 4 million, I guess, if we have bigger inflation. That's going to be an interesting aspect there. How because we're pretty much it's that everything bubble that we're going through right now. I think in this world, and rates of ascent go up. That's the last thing I want to talk about. I'm just looking at this now because the first move, second move are type thing, and I'll get the Bitstamp market back up to make this look better. In this case here, we had a rate of ascent like this, and then it did this. And then there was another leg higher after that. And then we had a rate of ascent like this, and then we have a rate of ascent like that. Now we have a rate of ascent like that. Now this could get interesting if we get a better one than what we got in here. Because this one is better than this. And even this one is better than this, it looks like to me. This could look pretty interesting if we break this rate of ascent and then form something of some sort of higher rate of ascent again, because we could get something of this type of move moving forward. It's in line for it. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, and nothing before was ever guaranteed until it actually happened. So back then, I'm going to say, oh, it looks like Bitcoin's going higher at 700. Nothing's guaranteed. It happened. It wasn't guaranteed, but it happened. Well, it was guaranteed now. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.